A year ago, I made a video explaining how to use Tabletop Simulator to play Magic the Gathering. It's still my favorite way of playing Magic, but it isn't how I usually play Magic anymore. Now, I use Untap.in. This is because not everyone has Tabletop Simulator, and I'm not going to make my friends go out of the way to get it just to play Magic with me. And Untap.in does most of what I need anyway. To get started, you'll just need to go to untap.in, that actual URL in a web browser, and you'll find the actual site basically how it is here, except for you'll be seeing a login screen. Make an account, and you can just start playing. There is a paid version, which we can talk about later, but it's completely free otherwise. The paid version just unlocks a few features. Before you can play any game, you're going to need to have a deck, so let's talk about that first. Once you've made an account and signed in, you just create a deck by clicking Create a Deck, and you're going to name your deck something. I'm going to call mine Jumble Bones Jamboree because I just made a Halloween deck. Choose the actual system you're using. If you want to play any other game, again, there's a bunch of other ones, and if the game you're looking for is not on here, there is custom CCG, but that will require importing your own cards, so it's a whole separate thing outside the purview of this video. We're going to choose MTG, we're going to create a deck. Once here, you can see this paste deck, which will have all of your actual cards, or you can import from a URL, which is what I'm going to do. And here we are. Now this deck that I just imported is a commander deck, and there's no official command zone in this actual thing. Well, I'll show you that once we get into real game. As long as you're communicating with the other players, it shouldn't actually really matter. As long as everyone knows what is actually in play and what is not, you can keep track of things just like you would on an actual tabletop. There they are. Because this is completely browser-based, there is no right-click menu. Instead, everything is single-click to bring out a menu, and then you can then manipulate it from there. I'm just going to move this directly to play, as you can see at the top here. There we go. Starts in play, use this for your commander. So I'll just save that. And now I have that deck. Now I can also set the starting life total there, and I probably should have, but I didn't. But for the sake of demonstration, not a big deal. If you're looking for any settings in here, you want to go to this menu here, and this is where all the additional settings will be for you. Now that we have a deck, we need to get a game. Now, if you want to join into public games, these do exist. You can see below that people are always playing games. You can filter them by game by using this drop down. It will show you any game that you have a valid deck for. And also, if you want to get deeper into it, there is a community up at the top corner, and there's a link to their Discord community where you can find other people who are actually playing games, and then you can actually communicate with them. I don't know how approachable it is to join a game without using voice. There is an in-game chat, so you could theoretically do that. There's also a bunch of tools for declaring your actions and moving directly through steps and phases. It's not purely communicating like in Tabletop Sim, but I haven't done that, and I can't really vouch for how well it would play. But there is a Discord community. You could use it to find other players. I do know that a lot of people left comments on my last video asking how to find other players, and there's a Discord community right there. However, let's talk a little bit more about the other button up there. This is our friends list. This actually has all currently online players, as well as your friends, block list, and then you can search all those online players to find an actual user, and then you can do that to add them to your friends list to find them in the future. Once you find somebody, you can click on them to see all the decks that they're running, and there should be an option for any game they have currently open at that time. So just click up there, find the user that you want to join the game of, and you can join directly your friends once they are hosting a game. If you want to host a game, we need to go to New Game. New Game, I'm just going to use test for now. The game type is game, but you can also use this to set up drafts and sealed and cubed events. They're pretty cool. You can see it adds extra options here, how many picks. There's a timer potentially if you want to. Even have as bots. I have not tried these features yet, and I cannot speak for how well they play, but it's great that their options are there. As far as hosting a regular game, you're going to choose that it's a game. You can choose the format if you want. Again, if you're communicating with the other players, it doesn't really matter, and I usually use any. But if you want extra rules enforcement, you can choose a format, and then people can only choose decks they've already labeled as being that format. Playstyle is just for communicating intent to the other players, and then we can choose the max player count. You can start games before reaching the max player count, so it's not hugely important, but it is something that you can set if you're saying, I know we're going to play a 4-player game. I'm going to set mine to friends only, and I'm going to start the game. And this is what you will see when you start the game. This is the main difference between playing on the free client and paying to have the premium features. you have to wait 25 seconds before the game actually starts. So if you're playing with friends and you're jumping into Discord and you're hanging out and you're chatting, have somebody host the table 25 seconds before you're ready to actually start. Once the game is created, you're all in it, but you're not viewing it. This is how the game sets it up. So we can join a table, and we can choose one of our decks that are legal. And so now we can see that we have our commander just already starting in play over here. I like to leave them in this little corner, and that's usually pretty clear. If it's not clear, click on it to bring up this menu. This is all the options that you can do with a card. To begin with, you can tap, you can spin around, but I really like to use the invert feature to show this is not actually in play. Great for phasing or exiling things or anything like that. Just a good indicator of something weird's going on here. That's just what I personally do. It's not whatever. You can do whatever you want. So once everyone's ready for the game, they're going to show up in the top right over here with individual player names and their life totals. You can see my life total is at 20 because I did not set it to 40 before the game started, but you can just change that however you want. And we have this log that has all of the actions taken in the game. It's a great way of keeping track of what people are actually doing. There is the option over here to change between a multiplayer split view versus 1v1 view. Like I can only see one person's board right here. This is where my opponent would be. And if I go here, it's not showing because it's only one player. It shows it as multiple different grids, and it's pretty clear. I like to use the single view because what it does is it makes an active opponent, and then you can toggle between which opponent you're looking at by clicking up here, and that will change what this area is. However, all other opponents will still be here. They'll just be transparent and overlaid on top of each other. I can't really show you what that looks like, but it's really clean. So how do we actually play? Let's start with one player to show the idea. Start early, yes. Once the game started, click on the deck to get all our deck actions. And draw 7 is the default here. Once we've drawn, it goes to draw 1 from then on. This hand sucks. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna say we're gonna mulligan 7 cards. Beautiful, very good. And that's still bad, but that's not important for the sake of actually showcasing what is happening as a program. It's not important. Once you're ready to actually play, you need to know some basic hotkeys. First of all, you can just do things with a mouse. It's not a big deal. You can click on this. You can say draw 1 card. Excellent. But you're probably going to want to use hotkeys for the basic actions that you're doing all the time. Hotkeys are available down here in the bottom left, and it shows all of the main ones you're going to want to know. But to go over them quickly, X is untap, C is draw, and V is shuffle your deck. As far as manipulating individual cards, we can drag them out of our hand. If we're hovering, we can hit spacebar to have them tap or untap. We can also box select to get multiple and have them do them at the same time. Likewise with everything else, we can click on them and we have different options. Because I have selected 2 cards, there's different options than if I'd only had 1 card. When you get to the end of your turn, you do want to pass the turn to the other players because the game keeps track of whose turn it is. In fact, you can actually go through individually which phase you're in if you want to declare that information to the table. Again, if you're playing in a Discord call, it's probably not a big deal, but if you're playing non-verbally, you're going to want to communicate that information. When you're ready to end a turn, you're going to hit E to end the turn. Now, I think because I am currently in a single player situation, there's no turns exactly, so I can't showcase what that looks like to you. That's the majority of what you're going to need to play most games, and you feel free to jump out now. But there's a few things that I know that I found confusing when I first played the game, and so I just want to run through how I would manage them. First of all, you can't really manipulate other people's boards directly. If you try to do so, instead they will get a prompt to say someone wants to use this, just requests that the action happens and they get final say, which is great. Now, if you want to gain control of something on someone's board, what I've found the best way of doing so is actually to make a copy of that thing and then have them indicate that it is currently not on their board, such as inverting it like we've seen over here. To copy something, again, click find the option. It's under clone card. This will create us a copy, and that copy does have a little indicator on it saying this is a clone, this is not the original, this is a token. As with anything else, there's a hotkey for it. In this case, it is K. So K makes it a clone. So very easy way, if someone has something on their board, you can hover over it, you can hit K, and now you have a clone on your board. This, of course, is useful for actual tokens as well. If you're trying to gain ownership of something, then it's not a token, and you might want to change this note to indicate that it is an actual card and not a token. And otherwise, if you want to make a token copy of something, you're going to want to have a note that says it's a token. The note is down here, add note, but the notes only really appear on this preview and the side. Speaking of this preview, this gives you both the card art as well as the text underneath. And if you hold shift, you can get the back of the card. In this case, there is no back, so it just showed me the front again. But if something was a double-faced card, that's how you could peek at the back of what a double-faced card looks like, holding shift. As far as cards that just make tokens, that is what this section over here is for, insert a token. This will find any card that is currently in the Magic labeled database. So we want to click on token specifically so we can filter our results. And then we can look for anything we want, such as a cat token. And here's our nice cat tokens. And of course, there's different cat tokens. And a lot of the art you're going to see on here is uploaded by users. Basically, everything is user uploaded, whether or not they're official or not. You can upload your own stuff if you want to customize things. I don't know enough about doing that, and that is not what this guide is for. And there you have a cute token. In this case, I believe this is actually art from Cats and Cantrips on Etsy if you want to check out their work. I think all of their tokens are actually on Untapped because they're just very popular with the community. Next are floating counters. Generally speaking, if you want to add a counter to a thing, you can click on it and add the counter. This will create a singular counter, which you could then increase or decrease by clicking on it. If you clicked on it again and tried to add another counter, that would not increment it, it would add a secondary counter, which can let you keep track of multiple things. Or sometimes I like to use this to keep track of if the actual stats have changed, because that looks like stats. Personally, I think so. But if you want a floating counter, such as if you want to count infect or energy or commander damage, I would use this option here. Click and counter. This is the counter. You can click on it once and we can change the color of it and we can change the label. So I can say this is my commander tax maybe. And then I will leave this, move it over here, and now I can keep track of how much commander tax I have to pay next time I'm casting them. After that, there's a few more of the nonverbal communication methods. You have alert response, you've got no response. You can also actually click on cards and have them have a target. So if say I want to say I am attacking someone, I can say I'm going to attack a player. And I would click on the player options up here, which again aren't there right now because I'm in a single player table. But I can do that, and that's what it would look like. It would draw a big arrow, say this is what's happening. And again, you might need to properly communicate. You can type in the chat too, right? It's not just for actions if you need to communicate anything additional. After that, I suppose I haven't gone over how to manipulate a deck, actually. We've got drawing, the basic thing, but if you ever need to look at the top few cards, if you either need to use an effect that looks, or scries, or surveils, all of those can be done under scry. We can say, let's say scry 3, it'll drop up at the bottom, and then these are the options. We can rearrange these, we can move them to the bottom, or we can drag them directly to our graveyard. Additionally, if I need to send the top card somewhere, you draw to a location. Not sure why that's the communication they used, but you draw it to somewhere. So I can draw it directly to play. I can draw it to the graveyard. I can draw it face down to play if I want to manifest the top card in my library. I can draw it into exile. I can draw it into face down. Now, again, you're playing with friends. You can probably just draw a card to your hand and then do whatever you need to from that state. But it's good that those options exist if you need to directly do something. Speaking of, we have an exile pile and a face down pile. Face down pile is just like, if you need it, it's there. Speaking of if you need it, it's there. That's what this secondary life total's for. It's just like another counter to track anything. I usually use it for poison if someone's playing infect, or I might use it for energy. Although you can also just bring in an energy card as if it was a token, and then use it with a counter. So that also works just as well. So whatever works for you. There's no one right way of playing. Other than that, I think that is everything. I'm sure you'll have questions in the comments, and if you do, please leave a question. I love answering your questions about things. I'm not necessarily going to know every answer, but I will certainly do my best to help out. If you haven't seen the Tabletop Sim video, recommend Tabletop Sim as well. Honestly, putting that video out a year ago was hugely impactful for me personally. This is not important to anyone watching this but me. If you need any help, please reach out. I'm happy to help. I hope this has given you a new way of playing Magic that is actually going to be helpful to you. While it has its problems, while it gets laggy sometimes, and sometimes you have to really slow things down and talk about stuff, sometimes cards don't appear where they're supposed to appear. There are a lot of things I could say that are bad, but for 90% of the situations you're going to find yourself in, it is just a really clean, lightweight, simple way of playing Magic that is completely free, and you don't have to get your friends a copy of Tabletop Sim to play. I think that's everything I want to say. It's untapped.in. I've been DarcyBits. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have good games. Have a good night. I'll see you next time.